You're listening to Winnipeg's Classic 107. My name is Simon Rusnak. After 4 seasons with the Winnipeg Symphony Orchestra, RBC assistant conductor Naomi Woo is set to leave and take on new musical challenges and opportunities elsewhere, though not before one more performance with Sistema Winnipeg tonight. First, Naomi has joined me in the Classic 107 studio. Hello.
Good morning, Simon.
Well, what a pleasure it is to have you back, Naomi.
Oh, it's always so great to be here.
So before we get to the Sistema concert tonight, can we do a little bit of reminiscing? Would that be all right?
Okay, if you don't mind me potentially getting a little bit emotional.
Oh, no, all for it. This is almost hard to believe. It has been 4 years since you were appointed RBC Assistant Conductor of the WSO. That was back in May 2019. I found the press release. I did some digging through my email. I want to begin by putting you on the spot here. If you could sum up the experience, what it's been like in a word or two, what word comes to mind?
Inspirational.
How so?
Well, when I first arrived in Winnipeg, I had never conducted a professional orchestra in rehearsal or performance. So I had a lot to learn and a lot to grow. And the incredible musicians of the Winnipeg Symphony Orchestra really shepherded me through that growth, really trusted me when I didn't always know what I was doing, really helped me learn and grow, as well as, of course, music director Daniel Reiskin, who's been a phenomenal mentor to me, and Julian Pellicano.
Like you say, the role, one that is really in a way designed to inspire. So it's special that is the first word that really comes to mind, inspiration. And it sounds like it did what it was designed to do. But for you as a young conductor, like you say, never having worked with a professional orchestra before, is it what you thought and hoped it would be or more?
Oh, it's so much more. It's so much more. I think that especially the way that the role combined my responsibilities at the University of Manitoba and at Sistema Winnipeg allowed me to develop really close relationships all across the city of Winnipeg in ways that I think I didn't necessarily expect. I didn't know a lot about what to expect coming into the role. I'd been to Winnipeg twice for a couple of days each time, and Winnipeg's really come to feel like home in a way that I don't think I could have anticipated when I arrived.
Well, glad to hear it, and glad that it has become home for you over these past 4 years. I'm sure that there have been many standout moments, but when you think back on 4 years, are there any that immediately come to mind? Like, I'm even thinking of just your first time getting in front of the orchestra. What was that like?
I mean, at the time, totally terrifying, to be perfectly honest. But really, I mean, just every moment has felt like it's had something new in it. I'm at that stage of my career where there's always something extremely new about every experience I'm having. But whenever those new experiences are here in Winnipeg, I feel supported, and I also feel grateful to have just these amazing musicians around me who are making incredible music together.
And you really got a front row seat, not only when you were literally on the podium in front of them, but even just serving. I was listening back to our conversation 4 years ago about the role, and you were talking about how you get to serve as the ears of Daniel in the concert hall and literally running around and listening from different spaces, which is so cool. But then beyond that, who could foresee this pandemic that would shut the world down? And then all of a sudden you became basically a TV producer, calling all the shots with WSO, My WSO TV at home. I imagine it's just gone beyond anything you ever expected.
It's true. A lot of new skills learned, a lot of changes. But, I think that something that's been really interesting about developing as a conductor in this time is that my formative experiences have been in these times of extreme crisis. And while I sincerely hope that in the course of my career, I never have to go through a crisis quite like that again, I do feel really well equipped, or at least that I've seen how it's possible to navigate some of the most extreme difficulties that arts organizations can go through.
So we not only got to see you on the podium with the WSO, but also you shared your talent as a pianist with us. And, I think of that I don't know why this is the one that immediately comes to mind, but I think of that 6 piano show that was part of Nuit Blanche that had to pivot online. I think it was because of just how dark it was and the beautiful colors and all of you gathered there. I mean, how cool was that? And then the performance with Ray Hatoda, the Mozart Concerto for 2 pianos, in addition to so many others. You've just become such a fabric, part of the fabric of the music community here in Winnipeg, Naomi. And
well, one of the reasons I became a conductor and love being a conductor is because of the opportunity to collaborate. But the place where I'm able to collaborate most intensely and most deeply is as a chamber musician. And it's a part of my career that I still really love. And of course, I don't have as much time for. But, for example, with my colleague Elation Pauls, that's been one of the ways we've really gotten to know each other, getting to know 5 other pianists in that capacity. It's a really special way of knowing another musician, is really playing music together with them. And so I'm lucky to have been able to get to know my colleagues musically and personally that way too.
So just before I ask you about the new gig, anything about Winnipeg that you're going to miss? Maybe not music related, but anything about Winnipeg that's really going to stick with you and think like, I don't have this anymore.
Simon, so much. But I'll tell you one specific thing, which is that in February, every time I went skating on the river, I thought, is this going to be the last time I skate on the river? And it's one of those things where you don't know which one's the last one because you don't know if you're going to make time for it tomorrow, you know? So I don't know which one was the last one. There was a last one, and I'm really sad that it happened. Obviously, we're not doing any skating on the river right now.
Well, you're welcome back any February to come skate on the river again, Naomi. So tell us about the new gig.
Well, there's a whole bunch of really exciting things coming up for me next season. But one of them is I have a new position as collaboratrice artistique with the Orchestre Métropolitain in Montreal. And that's going to be a really exciting role. I'll be working really closely with Yannick Nézet-Séguin to assist with all of the sort of workings of the orchestra. In particular, I'll be doing a lot of, as we talked about, covering and assisting for his concerts. I'll be conducting some educational programs. I'll be helping out with some of the community work that orchestra does, conducting some of my own programs in coming seasons, and very excitingly going on tour with them as well, just to Carnegie Hall. So.
Just a casual trip to Carnegie Hall, no big deal, working with one of the classical music superstars of the world, Yannick Nézet-Séguin. Well, really thrilled for you, Naomi, and looking forward to following along in all your adventures on social media and hopefully welcoming you back sometime soon.
Oh, I really hope I come back soon.
I think we're going to be cheering you on as much as your Twitter handle, which I know I brought up before, but it is just my favorite Twitter handle, Woo. Naomi Woo. Like, I feel like you're cheering yourself on and we're cheering you on by following. So, yes, very excited to see what's next. But before you go, one last Sistema show coming up tonight. Tell us what's planned.
We are so excited about it. Tonight at Maples Commons is my last show with the Sistema Kids, and they are playing alongside the whole Winnipeg Symphony Orchestra, which is always such a treat for them because, they actually recognize people in this orchestra. Their teachers are in this orchestra, and so they are playing alongside their teachers, not just in their capacity as teachers, but in their capacity as artists in an orchestra. And that's why at Sistema, we talk about the teachers not as teachers, but as teaching artists, because what they bring to their teaching is not necessarily a degree or quote unquote expertise in pedagogy. What they bring is their entire selves as artists, and that is what drives their passion. And that's what they inspire for the students. So that is always such a thrill. And we've got a lot of really great music, a lot of really great side-by-side play-alongs where the Sistema students are playing Mussorgsky, for example, alongside the orchestra. And the WSO has a couple of pretty fun features as well. There are some things that will definitely be recognizable.
Ooh, okay. So all the reason to head on down to Maples. That's 6:30 tonight. Admission is free, but of course a donation is strongly encouraged to support the great work that Sistema does. Also going to be joined by Paul Ong, right?
Absolutely. Paul is such a special collaborator. Earlier this year, Paul raised over $40,000 for Sistema Winnipeg in his annual concert for a cause. And we're really thrilled that he was available to come and reprise Wavin' Flag, which he's sung with us a few times and which the Sistema kids just absolutely love singing with him.
You know, I kind of can't help but come back to something you mentioned earlier about, making chamber music and really learning a person that way. And it feels like that's exactly what Sistema does here when they work alongside the WSO. Like you say, it's not just getting up on stage with some people, they really get to know each other, making music together. And that's really what Sistema is all about, isn't it?
Absolutely. And building bridges between parts of the community that might not otherwise have opportunities to come together.
So when I first welcomed you into the studio, again, I was listening back on that interview, and one of the things that you talked about was your role as the first ever music director of Sistema Winnipeg. So you will go down in the history books as the first ever music director of Sistema Winnipeg. But one of the things you mentioned that I thought was just so wonderful is you said it might just be the most fun part of the job when you were thinking about, your role with Winnipeg Symphony Orchestra, UMSO, and Sistema. Has it been the most fun part of the job?
No question. No question. The kids are a constant delight. They're, of course, hilarious, and but also their passion and their joy and their enthusiasm is absolutely unparalleled, and I think reminds all of us of why we got into this in the first place.
And I think a little bit of your passion, joy, and enthusiasm has rubbed off on them too, Naomi, because it truly is infectious. Thank you for joining me one more time in the Classic 107 studio. I'm not going to say one more time because maybe you're going to be rolling through town. I'm sure you will be again. So you're welcome back anytime, music related, or if you just happen to be, I don't know, have a layover in Winnipeg and you want to call in with your thoughts.
I'm not kidding. I was just discussing yesterday whether this is where I should come for my birthday trip, which does happen to be in February.
Yeah, so skating on the river it is. See you there. In the meantime, you can see Naomi tonight at Maples Collegiate. That's 1130 Jefferson Avenue. Admission free. Sistema Winnipeg with the Winnipeg Symphony Orchestra. The concert begins at 6:30 p.m.